Right. Sam, if you've got any updates on Layer 1X at the moment whilst we're waiting, please go ahead. And Russell is here as well. Russell, please request to speak. We will kick off the spaces once Sam is done with updates. Okay?
Yep. So welcome everyone to another episode of X Talks. In this episode, we are going to discuss Web3 professional career recruitment and more interesting stuff from our speakers. Just a reminder, if you haven't joined our Discord yet, do it now. We have very interesting things going around. Our TGE is planned and we are going full throttle on the 2nd of April. Also, we have our own event called Liquidity Bootstrap Phase, where you can earn a decent APR on your stablecoins as well as your blue chips. So if you are someone who's interested in that, make sure you check it out. Passing over to you, Cody and Nina.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sam. This is amazing. All right. Well, so I'll run a quick introduction. Welcome to yet another episode of X Talks. Today is certainly a little bit different. I personally think this topic is extremely important to address. I also think it's one of the most complicated and fundamental discussions that we could have here online. You know, it's very controversial. A lot of people are seeking jobs. A lot of people are talented, dedicated, but yet they're running into certain issues. And it is hard sometimes to find a perfect employment opportunity. So I'm very happy that today we have brilliant speakers on the panel. I don't know them all, to be honest with you. So, however, we will let them introduce themselves, and we will kick off a beautiful chat and great conversation, debate, discussion, whatever you see it, whatever way you see it go. So, without further ado, I would like to pass the mic on to Russell and let him introduce the project he works for and himself.
Yeah, thanks for that. Great to be here. So I'm actually CEO of Tectum, and a few of you probably know what we're doing at Tectum and what we're doing with the SoftNote product, which is a scaling solution for Bitcoin. We've also got Trevor on the call, who's COO from Tectum. But what we're looking to introduce on this space is the project called Jobs3. Jobs3 is essentially an incubated project that's going to be building on the Tectum blockchain. And they are a platform that have been running for a few years now. And the aim of Jobs3 is to decentralize the employment procedure. Of course, there are a few issues and problems within the employment space in Web3 that they look to overcome. But they're a project that we're incubating. So on this call, we've got Louis, who's the founder of Jobs3. We've also got Adam on the call as well, who's in the Jobs3 team. But just to give you a brief overview, we say that there as being three main problems within the employment market space. And I'm referring to the general employment market space, not just Web3. So the first main problem, which we see as the biggest, is there are more than 32% of people worldwide who can be considered as the unbanked. That means they don't have a banking account because they don't have any form of national identification. This means then that regardless of how skilled they are, they can't be employed on a global basis. So for example, if you have a web designer in India and they don't have a birth certificate, thus they don't have national identification, therefore they don't have a bank account, they can't get a job online in an overseas location or even in a local location unless the local location is going to pay them in physical cash. Now, we see that as a major problem because many of these people in these jurisdictions whereby it's harder to get a national identification card, are some of the most talented people in the world. They also have a national wage that is lower than limits in Western countries. So there's great opportunity there for businesses to pick up high quality work for a low price, but they're not exposed to this 32% because of the issue of the unbanked. So Jobs3 are doing an incredible job at overcoming that issue. What I'll do though is it's probably best to start with Louis, who's the actual founder of the project. They founded it a while ago and have built a platform with a good amount of following and quite a lot of jobs on there. But I'll hand it over to him for a little bit of a background to the story, and then perhaps go over to Adam with regards to an update as to where the project is now.
Sounds great, guys. Sounds great. Let's do it.
Cheers, Russell. My name's Louis Rice, and appreciate being here today, guys. I have been in the crypto space since 2017, and before that, I was an engineer. And like most people here in the UK, you want to work up the chain. You want to earn more money. You want to try and get on the property ladder as soon as possible. So, after being an engineer for several years, I naturally progressed into management. Part of management came a lot of recruitment, and it was painful, very, very painful. Lots of interviews, lots of job specs, lots of people wasting your time, lots of recruitment agencies that charge really high fees and then not deliver on the quality candidates. Just issues after issues after issues. And it was really painful. And I've used probably every jobs platform under the sun available here in the UK. And as I kind of went full time in the crypto and Web3 space in 2020, 2021, I started working mainly with Web3, NFT and gaming projects. And again, I was recruiting people. I was finding developers, finding artists, finding beta testers, and I was having the same issues, but only different in Web3. In Web3, obviously, you have a lot of bad actors, so you have to be very careful with who you recruit, and it's very time consuming. You've got to kind of get people to vouch for other people, and again, it's lots of interviews, it's lots of job specs, and then all the jobs boards were not very at the time when we put jobs together. There wasn't very many jobs boards that were specifically for crypto projects that took crypto payments as well. And we were thinking as a startup, a Web3 startup, you want to be able to recruit people across the world and be able to pay, in crypto. There's problems with people's native currencies all across the world. If you've got staff in Brazil, they tell you firsthand that they want to get paid in crypto. So there was a big a gap in a market to kind of simplify this whole process, and that was really where Jobs3 came about. Really, we were getting lots of people reaching out to us. Do you know developers? Do you know artists? Do you know security people? Do you know even Discord mods? And at the time, you couldn't find a jobs board that would list jobs like Discord mods or collab managers and stuff like that. So yeah, when we put the platform together, that was the initial idea was just to be able to facilitate all of these upcoming job roles in Web3, and it's just kind of grown from there really. And being incubated now by Tectum is amazing because it's just able to take it to the next level, and like Russell said, reach the unbanked as well, which is an immense opportunity for Jobs3 and everybody involved.
Wonderful. Thank you for the introduction. I'll pass over the mic to Dan from Priority Crypto. Let him introduce his organization as well as himself. And then I've got so many questions for you guys because I already feel like this is going to be amazing. Thank you. Dan, over to you.
How you doing? You all right? Well, thanks firstly for letting me be on this. I really appreciate it. So, Priority Crypto, I've been in recruitment for over 20 years. Priority Crypto's been going since 2012. Well, no, Priority Recruitment's been going since 2012. Priority Crypto since 2019. We recruit across the world. We recruit for everything within emerging tech and digital assets. Crypto has actually been on the back burner in terms of recruitment for the last year or so. AI, media, all of that is where we've really been spending a lot of our time. It's good to see Bitcoin and ETH doing really well because that means all the investment's going to go back into the market, hopefully. and crypto will be back up there. But Web3 is where we specialize. I won't do a big sales pitch or anything like that. I'm just pleased to be on this call and looking forward to listening to what the questions are and how we can help. But that's a very short intro of who I am and who we are.
Brilliant. I was actually lucky to meet you guys in person in Thailand when you were doing your road trip, recruitment road trip. So it was absolutely great to meet you all in person because, like, I've seen how dedicated you are, how selective, how professional you are. So I'm happy to have you here as well. But okay, so on this session, I would like us to cover skills and demand, selection process, important things to know for people when they seek employment, you know, in regards to doing their own research of an employer, right? Web3 space, as guys from as Russell mentioned, right? Web3 space is so rich on talent, and sometimes it's really hard to unleash it. It's very hard to advertise this talent. It's full of artists. It's full of developers. So you know, yeah. Going back to jobs 3, right? And the problem they have established with people not having access to certain documentation and, you know, registration of their like existence. Sorry, I will just name, you know, say things as they are, right? So, you know, the problem established, and then obviously as a company, as an organization, you're coming with a solution. And if you don't mind, in, you know, shortly, I know if it's possible, of course, how did you come to solution? What is your solution to this particular problem, and how has it been since you've established it and started rolling with it?
Yeah, great question. I'll just give a brief overview, then I'll hand it over to Adam to elaborate a little bit more on that. But I think one of the main issues is the infrastructure to deal with this problem of the unbanked not being able to access employment is already there. You know, it's on the basis of smart contracts. We have numerous different open source smart contracts that enable you to pay somebody either out of an escrow account or on the basis of a multi-signature wallet structure. But it just hasn't been applied to fulfill the problem of the unbanked not being able to be employed. So it's much more of an issue of bringing all the resources that are already available together to build this platform rather than coming up with new technology. But really where the unique selling points come in is how you design that platform. So we're looking at other platforms such as Upwork and Fiverr and trying to do what they do, but refine it for the Web3 world and make it more specific for those people who are unbanked. But I'll hand it over to Adam to get his perspective on what he believes we're doing differently in order to meet the problem that you spoke about.
Yeah, excellent, Russell. Hi there, everyone. My name is Adam. I am the social media manager at Jobs3, and it's a similar story like Louis as well. I was an engineer as well in the past in the UK, and I have slowly transitioned myself into Web3, as I do believe Web3 is the future of the internet. As you know, Web3 is currently on the rise, and recently there has been reports as well that it's going to be exceeding $100 billion by 2025. So it only makes sense that we actually, explore the Web3 market. In addition with that, there has been also an exceeding number of wallets created. So it has exceeded 100 million on that aspect as well. So you can definitely tell by the statistics that there's global adoption to the Web3 and blockchain technology. So it only makes sense as well that people are actively looking for a career in Web3, and that's where Jobs3 comes into place. Really, it's where talent meets careers in the Web3 space, and that's what we're going to facilitate. And exactly what Russell was saying as well, that we are actually actively looking at what current job boards are doing that are on Web2, and then what we are doing is to refine that revamp it and adopt it and scale it to the Web3 space. So currently, we are in the seeding phase, so we are slowly getting the people in. At this point, we are educating people on the Web3 space and what is currently available in terms of jobs, professions, etc. But a key aspect as well of in the Web3 space is connections and building connections. And that's where my role comes into place, where I am actively building connections, and it is between bridging the gap between employees, job seekers, and the employers. That means any trends, any active trends that is currently implemented and is looked for by the employers is actively demonstrated in webinars, AMAs, and workshops where professionals within the Web3 space can come in, and we would host that on social media, where job seekers would come and actually find and get insights on industry practices within Web3. On top of that, you have to make sure as well that you foster engagement. That means, engaging content and discussions with each other, and just build a vibrant community around Jobs3. And that's exactly what we're doing at Jobs3, is making a space for the unbanked people that don't have a bank account. They are, it's all about social inclusion, and there's parts of the world that getting a bank account is quite difficult, and our goal here and our vision at Jobs3 is to make that possible even for the people that don't have a bank, and we're going to actively work towards that and implement something beautiful.
This is absolutely amazing. I'm so happy that you guys stepped in on this panel, simply because it's a beautiful cause that you've touched. And I frankly don't know if you guys got access to my notes or you're reading my mind, because one of my questions was in regards to moving from Web 2 to Web 3 recruitment, and how was the process and transition in this regards, but you kind of covered it. And if Dan has anything to say here in regards to that transition from Web 2 to Web 3, and how were you guys able to facilitate it, that would be amazing. Also, a side note, you've mentioned webinars, you've mentioned certain platforms for people to tap into. Please feel free to drop your links in the comment section, right? So whoever is listening or will be listening will be able to have a look at it later on, and possibly find something. So Dan, over to you. Transition Web 2 to Web 3. Let's go.
The only thing I'd add to what's already been said there is the use of community. We've had to use candidate sourcing through communities a lot more than we ever did before. Networking's always been a big part of recruitment. In my 20 plus years of recruitment, it's always been about who you know, who can connect you to someone, referrals, things like that. But Web3 is all about community. It's all about these communities globally to evolve the tech, to move projects forward, to open source, all of that. But it's also about sharing. It's still such a young industry that everyone still wants everyone else to do really well. Everyone wants to be involved. We want to help each other. And it's exactly that. Just this morning, even you shared a candidate with me this morning. You said, reach out to this guy. He's really good. I think you could help him. That's what this whole Web3 world is about. It's about helping each other, and it's about helping everyone get into this tech while it's still early doors. This is still, even though it's been going a few years, we're still so early in what's happening. So that's all I would add. That's all right.
Absolutely. I actually, do you know what? I so agree with this in terms of old school approach, very often we run into issues of like getting a very good role at a very good company. You have to know someone, right? I know someone who knows someone, so I've got the job. I truly believe that Web3 jobs, right, shouldn't be anything like that. It's about community, it's about connection, but in a global terms of it, you build a community, you share with other peers, with friends, with family, and so on and so on. But there is nothing, I believe, right, that there shouldn't be anything about like corruption or, like, oh, this person got hired for this position just because they know someone, and I think building that sort of like purity of selection and accessibility for individuals with like pure talent, with specific skills, is an outstanding foundation for this business. Also, guys, we actually got. Oh yeah, go on then. I can see you raised your hand. Go ahead, please.
Sorry, I was just going to say as well, one of the like, I guess, in future we've got plans to kind of define it a bit more so that it's a bit easier set up and easier for people to navigate and stuff. But one of the the focuses that we really want is around internships as well. There's a lot of people trying to get into the Web3 space, and internships is the perfect way to do it. And it also supports founders for startups, early founders as well. We want to be able to give founders, the tools and be able to structure it so that they can sort of reach out to interns around the world for many different, job roles or skill sets. And they give them their first experience in the Web3 space, and in return, the founders that might be bootstrapping their projects, get some help, either at a heavily reduced rate or even for free, to help this person gain some experience in the Web3 space. And I think that this is a really, really powerful tool. The Web3 space, that everyone keeps mentioning, and you get the bull and the bear. During the bear market, people tend to rescind job offers and let people go and stuff. We've seen lots of layoffs with exchanges and OpenSea and like loads of NFT marketplaces and stuff like that during the last bear market. But during the bull market, it's everybody wants to get involved. So I think internships are a really, really solid opportunity to get through. So that's one thing that I think Jobs3 will be doing, in terms of adding more value than the competitors on the market, I would say.
I totally agree.
Yeah, if I could just ask Louis one question in relation to your last point. So you raised the issue of not wanting Web3 to get to a place whereby somebody gets a job because they're known, they're trusted or connected to somebody. But I'd love to get Louis' perspective on how that balance should be played out. So for example, if you have a developer writing a smart contract, the trust that is required in order to keep that intellectual property specific to the company is very important. How do you garner that trust if you don't know the person, they don't have a connection to the project? What's the best way the Web3 industry can approach being objective and employing people on the basis of their skills, but also knowing that people aren't doxed, so they could be potentially damaging to the project?
Yeah, good question. I would say definitely anything smart contract related. I would not suggest anybody kind of hire someone that wasn't doxed. Personally, I would definitely say you'd want to reach out to someone that has a reputation. If it's like to back up an existing dev or full stack dev or someone like that, or potentially you get them to do a smart contract and then you get someone else to order it, then fine. To audit it, sorry, then fine. But yeah, I think there's lots of job roles out there. And there are a lot of bad actors in the space as well, so you do have to be careful. But yes, smart contracts probably one of the places where you have to be most cautious.
Absolutely.
We agree with you. We're in the same space, and of course, we're going through the motions of like hiring and firing, like any other organization, as well as like we had our recruitment firm that helped us tremendously, to find certain individuals, and we were lucky because research had been done for us, and our job was to basically introduce non-disclosure agreements and make sure that it is all somehow regulated. We've got crypto not on this panel as well. This is our experienced guy who is so diverse in his skill set and so experienced in this particular area as well. So I would like to pass it over to him for a moment and see what he has to say, maybe some questions he has to ask. And yeah, Cody, over to you.
Oh boy. Hey, everybody. My name is Cody. I'm the Chief Experience Officer at Layer 1X. Outside of before joining Layer 1X, I've been a solarpreneur for the last, probably 2 decades. And out of my last 3 startups, I've been able to exit 2 of them. So I've got a pretty good track record. My background is in obviously UI UX. I've been serving in C-level positions for the last 15 years. So definitely know my way around the hiring process. So I love the comment that was made a few minutes ago about finding the right people. I've always had a saying in my businesses when I've been hiring people is that it's all about getting the right people on the bus. That's the first step, but then you've got to make sure that they're in the right seats. So sometimes you got to do a couple of shuffling around, but once you have good talent, it's very important to keep a hold of them. So for me, it's always been networking. You kind of get into these grooves where you find these employees that kind of seem to follow you from company to company. But on the flip side, one of the questions that I do have for you is, when it comes to making that transition from, we'll just call it Web 2 to Web 3, there's a plethora of different skill sets that can be utilized, and I think that a lot of people don't realize that their skills can translate over into Web3. I mean, I look at how I got involved in Web3 with a UI UX background. Being in crypto since 2017, we all know that the user experience is not there, and so it's been a welcoming kind of experience for me to kind of come in. But what kind of advice would you give people that are kind of on the fence or unsure about if their skill sets will come over? What kind of advice, what kind of research, what kind of tips, tricks, what do you have up your sleeve that you would give to these people to kind of get started in making that transition?
I'm happy to take this one. I would definitely say, there's, and you're quite right, there's a lot of people out there that don't realize that their skill sets are applicable in Web3. There's so many non-tech roles in Web3 now. Things like community moderation, marketing. There's loads of things like now there's a much more need for, people to help out with operations, organization, HR. There's so many roles now available. But yeah, I think if it was more of a sort of a lower skill set and nothing specific, I would definitely urge people to join communities, right? And it was mentioned by Priority that community is such a big aspect of Web3. So find your niche, find something that you like, whether it's gaming or whether it's DeFi or whether it's like travel or whatever it is. Find your niche within Web3, join some communities, network, join spaces, be active, talk to people, share your opinions, even if it's spicy hot topics. I love sharing my spicy hot topics, and it usually gets the most out of people as well. So yeah, I would definitely say start there. Say yes to every opportunity. Join communities, and just network. Be kind, be nice, and just keep learning. Keep asking questions. No question's stupid.
Exactly. I want to add on to that, Louis. This is actually quite interesting that you asked that question, because I actually went through that process myself. So I can actually attest to that firsthand. And it's basically everything that Louis there said. The main thing is, have an open mind. Someone that's an engineer, going into social media management and digital marketing or whatnot, it's such a different avenue. So one thing is have an open mind and have the willingness to take criticism and learn from experts, basically, and that's the only way to grow in this space, because this space is it's a space that continuously changes and adapts, and there's new trends like every week. So have that ability to adapt and have an open mind, and there is this role for everyone in Web3, from people that have no experience to the most experienced person that has 10 years of experience in Web3. There is a job there for everyone, and as long as you have an open mind and you have the resilience and hard work, you can make it in this space, and yeah, it's one thing as well, like, it becomes part of your life, and you end up falling in love with Web3, and you'll see the benefits of Web3 compared to Web2. And there is evidence, as you can see in statistics, like the statistics back it as well, where it's an emerging sector in the world. So you will soon see a lot of industries are making the move to Web3. For example, telecommunications is one of the backgrounds that I have. They're moving slowly into Web3, and they've moved already into Web3. So I won't be surprised if other industrial sectors are moving to Web3. So if you are listening here, and it's something new to you, don't be afraid to tap your toes in the Web3 world. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I would agree with a lot of that, and I think there's some great points there. But I'd love to get Trevor's perspective on this, because he actually heads up recruitment amongst a lot of other things at Tectum, and he's been through thousands of CVs, hundreds of interviews. Trevor, what would you say are some of the things you look for with regards to working out whether somebody transitioning from Web 2 to Web 3 is going to be successful and be a fit for the team?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I guess, from my experience, it really is, it's hard to beat that one-to-one call with a candidate. You really do start to figure out the person behind the CV, or behind a piece of paper there, and through a few questions you can start to figure out whether they are a good candidate to transition from Web 2 to Web 3, because it's like from Web 2 to Web 3, it can be hard on people, because in a sense their Web 3 is really 24/7. So it's up to the individual there to sort of set their own discipline, to make sure that one, they're getting enough sleep, but two, that they're making sure to have quality time with the job, and quality time away from the job. And what you see with a lot of candidates is they'll get very excited. They'll maybe see FOMO into a job, get very excited. You'll see an initial surge for 2 to 3 months, and then after 2 to 3 months, haven't allocated their time with the discipline, and then they get burnt out very, very quick. And it happens, all of us. We sort of need to get close to that limit to know where the limit is, and then evolve on top of that. But in saying that, if you can figure that part out there, the Web3 space is amazing there. There's so much opportunity for anybody with a skill set. There's not as near the restrictions as you would do in Web 2. Web 2 is very slow. There's a lot of friction points. It's very complicated. But with Web 3, you can get a lot of things done in a short amount of time. And as I always say, if you can create value, then someone is always willing to come along and buy that value. And when it comes to the recruitment side in Web3, I think once you get the architecture embedded in and have blockchain technology as the backbone to the recruiting, and then going in deeper, going into where you would have a DAO protocol of some description, some shape or form, in order to keep an eye on how things are going on. So it becomes much more of a community effort to evolve the platform than it is to have a couple of individuals that are it's their job to do that. So that'd be what I would say there. And I think with that, with certain algorithms, with certain DAO protocols, you are going to streamline the entire process where you're going to have supply and demand take effect instead of having the old way of doing it where you have to go through CV after CV, trying to figure it out, talking to the individual, and then using your own intellect to see if that individual is fully truthful in what they're saying, whether they can handle the job that's coming to them. I think as time goes on, you're going to see a lot more protocols being voted in by DAOs that will really just streamline the process and get more momentum behind the recruitment space, because that's really the whole idea to it, is to just streamline everything. And if someone wants to get a job in Web3, it should be a matter of days if you're eager, instead of weeks in the old traditional way where you'd have to go through all the hoops and whatnot. So that's kind of how I envision it moving forward, if that makes sense.
I just want to add on to that. Everything you've just heard there is 100% correct. The networking is priority for me. Speak to people. If you're in Web 2 now, or you're in any form of industry and you want to get into Web 3, go and talk to people. The community is really engaging. Talk to recruiters, any recruiter that has anything to do with Web 3, AI, you name it. Go and talk to them, ask them questions. These guys spend their life, like I do, talking to businesses, talking to candidates, all within this space. We know what's going on. We know how to get into the sector. Go and ask them questions. Go and ask hiring managers that have got jobs out there. Really interested in what you guys are doing. How would I get involved? What can I bring to the table? Because you've all got transferable skills. We've all got transferable skills. We just need someone to recognize it sometimes. And that's where the talking comes into it. Like Cody said, he moved from one sector to another. He's doing really well, loves Web3, loves everything about it, loves where it's going. But that's not what he started in the industry to do. He transitioned, and he did that by talking to people, by networking, by engaging in the community. So that's all I would add to that conversation.
Yeah, 100%. Every time I hear that, what you just said, Dan, I think of the Friends episode, the Pivot episode. If you're a Friends fan and you know Pivot, you know exactly what I'm talking about there. So I wanted to touch upon one last question, and then I'll hand it back to Anna. I think it was Louis that mentioned internships. I'm a huge believer in that. I remember going through my own kind of sacrifice, in a sense, to learn things. And then you get to the point where you kind of learn what you can, and then you need to get some real advice from experts. And so I started a couple of companies just to kind of learn, things like SEO and, various things like that my businesses needed. And so I would start a company and hire the best people to learn from them. It taught me a lot of different things about the hiring process of who's good, who's going to be coming in. So I'm going to kind of give you guys that same question: is how do you spot the genuine passion for decentralized people with decentralized future of the internet? When I was hiring for the design team, for an example, at Layer 1X, we went through quite a few different interviews to find the individuals that we did. And let's just face it, there's a lot of bandwagon jumpers that are everywhere in this space. And so what are your little tricks and trades for kind of weeding those people out, who are to find those who are generally in it for the long haul?
I'll jump
Yeah.
in real quick before I miss out, if that's all right. In my opinion, it's building rapport. We don't just talk to one person once and then pass them over to you, so to speak, as a client. We build that rapport. We really get to understand them. We understand what their background is. Why is it they're doing it? But we don't do it in a way that we're questioning them. Why do you want to do this? We build around it. So it's rapport. It's speaking to them and it's rapport. That's how we do it. So next.
Yeah, look, for myself there, that's a very, very good question there. For the way I would weed people out is basically there, throw them right into the deep end in some shape or form there. If someone is keen, if someone reaches out to me and they want, they want a chance on doing something, I'll have a think. I'll get them to jump into one or two or three different things, different scenarios, throw them in there and just see how they react. And even though they might not do an absolute fine job of that, what I'm trying to do is gauge how pliable they are. And you can tell a lot by someone there if you throw them into the deep end there. A lot of people, let's say with my experience with Chris Mind, the company for tech and blockchain, we've recruited people, and on paper they should transition into a really good worker, and it just hasn't happened. Then someone out of the blue messaged me in my DMs, and then I'd be like, okay, if you're that keen, jump on a Zoom call right now. They're live, they're online, jump on a Zoom call, show your face, talk to me, have a chat for 30 minutes, gauge who the person is. After then 30 minutes, you'll probably find in your head there, okay, I need help with this. You help me for the next few days there. Do it for free because you're the one that's keen to do it. And then gauge after a few days how they've done in that. And we've actually seen, well, myself, I've personally seen a lot of people rise through the ranks very quickly because of that kind of scenario. You'd throw them in the deep end and you'd figure out their attributes that they can help, and as well as knowing their disadvantages, and then working around them. And then eventually you can fit them in and build a team around you. And it's amazing how that works very, very well. And that would be my way of weeding out any, the good from the bad, and especially the pretenders, because traditionally in Web 2, with a traditional type job, it's very easy to make a CV look very good. And then sometimes it's even easier to woo someone in a Zoom call and have no substance behind it, and then get the job, and then give them an allocated month or two to get settled in, and then after 3 months realize this is a mistake, and then spend another 2 months trying to figure out how to sack them or get rid of them there, because they just don't fit in with the team. With the Web3 space, it's very much someone is keen to work, give them work, let them do it for free, judge what they're good and what they're bad at, and then just build their level of armor on top of that. So that's how I would weed out the good from the bad.
Yeah, look, from my perspective, Lou, I know you've got your hand up. I'll shoot straight over to you after this. From our perspective, I think the first question to ask is, do they really need to be DeFi maxis? And the reason I say that is everybody wants to run a successful project. So if your designer doesn't care about DeFi, but they're an incredible designer and they want to be in the space, we tend towards being willing to employ those types of people. But I do agree, you don't want your decision makers and your strategists not actually caring about the ethics of the industry. So what I like to do is to ask them one simple question, which is, if the regulators attempted to prosecute us as a company, how would you respond? And very often somebody will say, well, look, that's something I want to avoid. But you found someone really committed to the DeFi movement when they say, well, I'd do everything I could to continue the project because I really think the world needs decentralization. So that question for me really pulls out those who are committed to the ethic behind decentralization and then those who are just interested in being in the industry. But Louis, what's your perspective?
Yeah, I was just going to say it's really interesting how, from sector to sector, it might be a bit different. Like, obviously, we do a lot of recruitment at the gaming studio that I work for. And we love, realistically, we love to onboard Web2 employees to Web3, just because they come with, especially around like game design and, like all of the artwork and creating assets and stuff like that. They've just got such, because it's more established as Web2, so you've got a lot more experience, and you've also got a lot more. They're a lot more accustomed to policies, procedures, like routine, like clocking in, clocking out, and stuff like that. And it's funny how, for us as a gaming studio, we are much more inclined to approach Web2 users and bring them into Web3. Whereas, like, for the DeFi side of things, you want people that are very crypto savvy and stuff. So, no, I just thought it was really, really interesting.
Thank you, guys. These are brilliant angles and perspectives that you approach the question with. And I'm pretty sure that the majority of your placements, current placements, existing placements, past placements, and so on, I'm pretty sure they will always reach back to you for other opportunities. With this friendly, homey, and, decent approach, why not, right? We touched a little bit on more of a heated topic. I don't know, maybe it's not that, tricky for everybody, but for me, for instance, as I'm a remote employee, right, it's a very interesting conversation that the second I start, I can't stop. So please stop me if you need to. Whoever has the power to mute me, do it. I don't mind. But basically, like, my view onto remote work versus hands-on office experience through the COVID, right? COVID times, I think a lot of people kind of realized that they can be so much more effective and efficient, productive when they're not stuck in the office. 9 to 5, for instance, when they have to swipe the card and be under certain control, right? I'm definitely one of those people. And not because I don't like to be controlled. No, I actually do like some structure. But I just find that I am slacking less. I know how to dedicate my time to important tasks and how to prioritize, right? So I would love to know, what are the current trends for you guys in regards to Web3, because I'm sure Web3 job market offers so many more opportunities, remote opportunities for absolutely amazing people who will do outstanding work. So what's your approach in regards to that particular question? What, or unless you have some geographic hotspots, anything about it, I would love to hear your perspectives. So whoever wants to grab the mic, go for it. We're fighting for it today. Sorry. There you go. Go ahead.
I'll quickly grab the mic again then.
Yay.
Geographic hotspots, not so much. I'm a big advocate for hybrid working or remote working. I personally work hybrid, so we're in the office a few days a week, at home a few days a week. But I'm a big fan of digital nomads. I'm a big fan of people that, especially if they work in the creative side, if they're game designing or anything like that, where they can get that spark of inspiration wherever they are. I have a lot of clients and candidates that work out of Bali, Dubai, the States, wherever it might be, wherever they're happiest and they produce the best work, fabulous. We're all for it, and we will introduce anyone. The only requirements we often get from clients is they need to work on certain time zones just to make it easier for the morning meetings or whatever that could be. But otherwise, the bulk of our clients are pretty happy. We did have clients a year or so back that wanted everyone to return to the office. You know, we want to see everyone back here at their desks, and it wasn't productive. It wasn't what candidates want. It's not what you guys want predominantly. You want that little bit of freedom to work where you are. But again, it is down to you as an individual. If you're not motivated enough, if you don't have that self-discipline to get up in the morning and actually put a proper shift in, then maybe you do need to be in an office where someone's sat next to you just for the banter. But if you've got that discipline about you, know I need to put a great 6 or 7 hours of days work in to produce what I need to do, and I can do it wherever I am in the world, then fabulous. Do it wherever you are in the world. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'll add on to that. Basically, I am the same. Like when I was working as an engineer, it takes me 1 hour just to get to the office, and then an hour back, and that's just 2 hours gone of my life that I could have potentially, be productive at. And you can already tell that slowly they are shifting to a 4-day week. I think a couple companies in the UK are actually implementing a 4-day working week. So as you know, like it's more of a thing where, do we really need to be in the office in person to be productive, or can we move to a more hybrid system? And that's where Jobs 3 comes into place and the Web3 into place. It's more of a work-life balance where you still have to be 24/7 tapped into the space, but essentially, it's in the comfort of your own time zones, your own workspace at home, while still working online. For me personally, it has been beneficial as well. Like I do so much more work. I'm more productive working from home. I can schedule my days more easier and everything like that. And being in the office, in terms of getting the answer from someone that's next to me, it might be quicker, but at the same time, it's not really streamlined. I can't really plan my days efficiently in a way where if I'm working from home, I know I'm waking up at 7 a.m. I can constructively plan my day. 7 a.m. I'm doing my meetings or plan my day for 30 minutes to 45 minutes. I go into meetings, recap of what happened in the previous days, what I can do to improve the day or improve my work ethics, connect with certain people in the team, and it's just it's much more easier, as I would say, and more efficient to be working remote. And similarly, like you can work anywhere in the world as well. Like you're not limited to a certain place. That's the thing about Web3. It has no boundaries in terms of geographical boundaries. You can work anywhere as long as you have a stable internet connection, and that's what it is. And that's the flexibility within Web3.
Brilliant. Forever grateful for Web3 space, granting these chances, to wider circle of people, which means obviously opportunities. And like, I greatly appreciate this opportunity at the moment. But I have to also say, when sometimes I talk to my friends and they're like, oh, you're so lucky to be remote. And I'm like, guys, you think I'm drinking coconuts on the beach all day, but no, it's nothing like that. I also structure my day. I made my house a little office. So yeah, like it has its downfalls, and it's nothing like people imagine. However, I also feel it gives a great freedom of a mindset, and just greater potential. But that's me personally, right? So my next question would kind of be a follow-up for this one, but I would like to more tap into uh, uh, the challenges that you face when you select the candidates for all the positions you have listed, advertised, because it's a huge responsibility. You're pushing individuals towards like established employers who trusted you with the selection of a candidate. So you've got quite a heavy lifting to take, right? So what are the challenges you guys are facing? How do you deal with it, with all of this? And yeah, what's your take on it? Anyone?
I'll jump in. So, yeah, it is a heavy responsibility, and we get inundated with applications. I think the hardest part for me is getting through and speaking to everyone. So when we do get to speak to decent candidates, I always ask them to book in every week just for a catch-up call until either we've got them through the process and they've started and they're happy a few months in, a year in, whatever it is, or while we're still looking for an opportunity for them. We want to speak to people weekly. So everyone's got my diary link, they book in and we move it forward that way, because it is a big responsibility. And the people I'm presenting to my clients, I want to make sure, at least in my mind, they're exactly right for that role. So yeah, it does take time. That's the hardest thing for me. It's just dealing with the sheer volume of application. We've stopped advertising on job boards and things like that for that reason. We get inundated, and it's just not fair to not get back to everyone. So we literally, if we get a job on now, it's our network, and we go out there, headhunt, really, very proactive, because there's nothing worse sitting on the other side of that table, putting an application in and never hearing anything back. That's awful. And I know it's awful. And I don't like having to do that. But sometimes when you get 1,001 applications for a job you put on half an hour ago, you can't keep up with the pace of it. So we try and limit that. The really good people that do engage with us, I always put on the bottom of my adverts when I did do it, engage with me on LinkedIn, connect with me, follow me on Twitter, on it's all of them, send me a message direct. Then I know you are being proactive. It's the same thing I say to every candidate that desperately wants to get into a job. Treat looking for a job as your full-time job. So do everything you can. Be proactive. I'm not even sure if I answered the question there, Renee. I sort of went on a little bit of a rant. I'll get back to you.
I love a rant. You know what? I love a lively conversation. I don't want structure. I want you guys to feel absolutely free to say whatever you want here, because that is for listeners. And I will share this. I will create this podcast out of this conversation, and I will be sharing it with my friends. People who I trust, people who trust me. So I want this to be a valuable listen for them, right? So what you've got, guys.
Yeah, I mean, to go back to that question, very interesting question. One thing we found, and I can definitely say this from my own perspective, is some of the best, most talented people in Web3 really didn't do that well in their Web2 career. And predominantly for this reason, definitely I can say this of the C-level at Tectum and those that have been most influential to building the project. They all either formally or informally definitely have a form of ADHD, i.e. they're very high energy, they think quickly, and they can make decisions off the cuff. And very often in Web2 environments, that doesn't work out so well. You can't get something executed in the same time that you can in Web3. You can't contact people and expect a response in the same time as you can in Web3. Therefore, a lot of these people get frustrated and their skill set is not utilized to the greatest ability. So that's definitely something that we look for, although we're not going to say that's on a public advertisement. If you are high energy and you've got a lot of ideas, you definitely have the great capacity to go pretty far in this space.
Just to quickly cut in, I got a hard stop here at 1 o'clock, guys, but this has been great. I followed all the speakers and everything as well, and encourage everybody else to do the same. Really appreciate the opportunity, and would love to come back soon.
Thank you so much for being here.
Cheers, everyone.
See ya.
See ya.
Thanks.
So
Yeah.
Thank you. I have one follow-up question to that. Today, a lot of people are saying that resumes and application processes are pretty much a dead art. For an example, with all the new resume application screening software that's being used by a lot of big companies that are easily dismissing good applicants because of, certain things, like missing in the resume that they're looking for in their criteria. What are these good potential candidates to do now?
Yeah, from my perspective, in answer to that, it's pretty much an amalgamation of what everybody's been referring to on this call, staying active. Sometimes somebody will reach out to us, and Adam is a prime example of this. He reached out to us being very interested in the project. And just from a conversation, we saw that he got the vision. He's definitely a skilled person, but he also was the type of person that we believed could really engage with the community on an excellent level. So just because your CV is rejected or you don't make the first cut with regards to the application process, I think being active in the space, we've all seen how influencer profiles on Twitter have gone from 1,000 followers to 200,000 followers in the space of just a few months because they've voiced their perspective. There are numerous avenues to try and get the attention of a prospective recruiter, but it all comes down to how active you are, how well you network, and how visible you come to that recruiter.
Yeah, exactly. Just following up on that, I went through that process not so long ago, actually. And it was basically the way I approached it really was I've put down what I have completed, in the past, what my achievements were in the past, right? And then apply it to this is what I can bring to the table for your company, in a way where it's something that maybe that is missing in that company, or something that it maybe you want to improve or revamp in that company. That's what you want to do. Show the recruiter that I can improve XYZ here, and the result of this is XYZ. And if you put that, and if you present that actually in that way, and you have a high chance of them actually interviewing you. So I would say, getting out there and have a good proposal in a way, and a good CV showing your skills and how you can improve the company, or how the recruiter could actually benefit off you. That is the first step. Then when you go into the interview, showcase your skills and know what you're actually talking about. So when I went into the interview, it's basically it's a simple question. What can you do for us? And why do you want to make the transition to Web3? And that's the way that Trevor actually was talking about earlier as well, is how to weed out these people. Is if the person does not believe in decentralization, or doesn't believe in Web3, and it's just looking for like a quick money grab or anything like that, just a quick job or a side thing, it's going to be clear that that person is not serious. And it comes to the aspect of myself. I have literally moved from Web 2 all the way to Web 3, so I am a true believer in Web 3. And that's what it comes down to. It really, it's like if as long as you believe in it, and you think you can make a change, to the organization, and they can see the value in you. I think you've basically done at least 70% of getting hired.
Dan?
I was just going to say, I'll just echo what everyone else has said there, but engage with that recruiter. Follow them on LinkedIn, follow them on Telegram, join their Discord group, follow them on Twitter, do all of that, drop them a message. If a candidate comes to me and he's messaged me on LinkedIn, he's applied to the ad, he's sent me a message on Twitter, all the rest of it, I know this person is keen. They're genuine. They're not working in a dev shop. There's all those elements that come into play when someone's actually being proactive. Not only does this person want a job, they want the job that they're applying to. They're keen. That's what's important for me.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. I'm quite conscious of the time, of course, and I don't want to keep you guys up until too late. Well, I mean, it's late here where we are anyway, but I will move towards our closing statements. But before that, I'd like to personally say that, like, a little message to all the community managers, to all the project managers, designers, and artists and developers, of course, all the guys behind the screens. You are so valuable, and like sometimes it's not very well communicated and translated, because again it's a very specific space, and it's just, it is what it is. However, the job done is valued, and it is very incredible. So yeah, also I'd like to give you all guys like some time to perhaps elevate your projects, elevate your organizations, your businesses, and perhaps if you would like to advertise a couple of positions that you have ongoing, invite people to some of the events you're hosting, invite people to your social media platforms. Please do that, because again, we are here to unite. We're not here to compete. We want people to get to know you. We want more people to have the chance and opportunity to get really good jobs. And I know that Jobs3 as well as Priority Crypto are amazing platforms to get in touch with and get onto it. So whoever wants to step into it first, please go for it. Yep.
I'll go really quick, Inna, because
Cool.
I've got a project to sell or anything like that. Just follow me. Just join me on Twitter. That'd be amazing, because I need to boost that profile. But I'm there on LinkedIn. I'm always on LinkedIn. And then you can connect with me on Telegram if as well, if you want, at Dan Franklin. Happy to talk to anyone. Happy to look at any CVs if you want any advice, anything like that. Just connect. The website is prioritycrypto.jobs. Would love to see you over there as well. Thank you. And thanks, Inna. It's been fabulous. I appreciate
Thank you so much,
inviting
Dan.
me
Thank
on
you.
this.
I really appreciate you. Thank you. And guys, go ahead.
Yeah, and I just want to add on to that as well. We're planning to go fully live in March as well, so this month. So full details will be available on our socials as well, which is on X, as well as on LinkedIn. We're on LinkedIn, X, as well as Telegram. The Telegram is actually as well as I just posted as a comment underneath, so feel free to join there to keep up to date with everything. And yeah, stay tuned, as we're going to make change in Web3 and make sure, and we're going to offer a lot of positions for people that want to explore Web3.
Trevor, do you have anything to add to it?
Yeah, basically what Adam was saying there, we are launching our 3 token there mid this month, and yeah, we'll be drilling out all the details, sharing all the links to all of our community there. So exciting times. This is going to be a big month for the Jobs3 platform.
Beautiful. I'm really excited to have you on board, and I'm very, very excited that you've covered the area that hasn't been covered necessarily yet. So yeah, thank you for that. Thank you all for your time and for the efforts you are putting into this recruitment process and making it inclusive for everyone and clean and decent. This is all I personally appreciate, and I'm really happy that I've been able to have a really good chat with you. Also, like, always feel free to reach out to me, to Layer 1X, to Cody, with any help you potentially could require. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for your time. And yeah, until we meet again.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.
Thanks very much.
See ya.
See you guys. Bye bye.